else. Can y'all bring them to me? To me, yeah. Don't pass stuff out until I'm ready. Yeah. Now, I don't know, if you don't think you, yeah, okay. Make sure y'all have enough when it's time, okay? All right, page 97 of the book, Singlehood. Corey, what did I do? I see something up there.
That's Mike.
Oh, that's Mike?
You good now?
Okay, Mike, they say that's you. Nearly 90% of Americans are going to marry at some time. At some point, nearly 90% are going to marry. But guess what? 55% of them will be single at any given time. And if you look at the ratio, according to Grundlin here, the number of men per 100 women, 95 males for each 100 females. So there are more single women than there are single men. Oh, glory to God. So singlehood is here to stay. Singlehood is not going anywhere. And there are reasons, and there are categories, and there are types of singles. And so we're going to take a look at a lot of that tonight. We put, according to sociological studies, singles into 3 groups. Those groups are the never married, the divorced, and the widowed. You got 3 groups of single folks. They are in the group called never married. There are some singles who are divorced. They're single because of divorce. And then they're single because they were widowed. They became widowed. Now, I want to just talk a little bit about the category, and I'm going to summarize a lot of this, so if you know, in the book for you. In the never married category, there's a reason that they never married. Now, one of the reasons they never married is because they've got something called a delayed marriage. Now, why are they delayed? Why is marriage delayed? Why is that category? Why does it exist? Well, first thing, it exists because of something called extended education. You see, what's happening is that people is deciding to go on and go to school. They're going to college, and when they go to college, they don't get married. There was a time in the past where folks wouldn't go to college, and so college didn't interfere with folks getting married. Now, as we've already studied, the younger you get married, the divorce rate go up. Y'all remember the statistics? You get married young, divorce rate shoots up high. As you wait, you tend to stay married. And so here, the singles are delaying marriage more now than they used to. And you can see some of the numbers there. Another reason is they're not getting married because they decided to build a shack. They decided to cohabitate. They're deciding to live together. And so they stay single because they don't they say, well, we live in it, so we're all right. But y'all remember the statistics there. The people who cohabitate tend to get divorced. The divorce statistics are high. Now, another reason is economic. Some of them stay single because of money reasons. You know, just economic reasons keep them from deciding to make that jump, make that move. So the first is never married. Now the second category are the widowed. And in the widowed, there are 4 times as many widows as there are widowers. Y'all know what a widow and a widower is, right? A widow is a woman and a widower is a man who have lost their spouse. And there are 4 times as many women have lost their husbands than there is husbands that have lost their wives. Why is that? You know, what is that? You know, is it lifestyle? Is it health? Is it you know, the manner in which people seem to carry themselves as men? They are more.
Will war have anything to do with that statistic?
I don't have the background into the research, but it's a question that could be asked. You know, his question was, could war have something to do with it? But you know, there's just as many women in combat as there is in men. Well, not more. It's still statistically more men, but you know, there are a lot more still. Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask this question. I don't really know if it's a question or what it is. Well, back in the era when my parents, or back then when they were, it was like that's what the women were doing, getting married.
Yeah, they got married very, as a matter of fact, they got married early.
Yeah.
They got married younger. Many of them didn't even finish high school.
But some of them stayed together.
The statistics are different today as from what they were before. Remember before, we went through, remember when we talked about dating and courting? Well, in the old days, you dated and courted. Today, you meet somebody, you take them out for a pop, y'all go together. And so there is the dating today is non-existent. You know, when you're dating where you get to know somebody and to find out who somebody is, it don't exist today. We meet somebody, and the first time we go out, that's my man, that's my woman. And so it's not like our parents, you know. Our parents, if you came up in the yard, you said,
where you going?
You came up in the yard. Who is you? Well, that was the LC's boy.
Who your folks?
Come in. Yes, the dynamics were different. Today they come, pull up and blow the horn and expect the girl to run out to the car. The dynamics are different from our parents. So these statistics, I imagine, are taken from probably the last 20, 25 years rather than back in the 30s, 40s, 50s. Now, another reason the majority of these widowed people, once they're widowed, they remain single. They stay single. Once they are widowed, they don't remarry. The majority. Now, some do remarry. I'm not saying none of them. Yeah, some do. But the majority. And that creates a single population of widowed people. And then 3 out of 4 women are going to be widows. Now, we don't want to hear that, do we? But statistically, 3 out of 4 women are going to be widows. Wow, that's Sobering, isn't
Yes,
it?
sobering. That's
Yeah, yeah. Now, let's look at types of singles, and this is where I want to get you into looking at types of singles, because you're trying to say, how do you type singles? How do you put them into categories? And what you do, what sociologists have done, is say, here's our approach to doing it. These are approaches. That's what understand that these are approaches. Now, the first approach is called the relationship approach. The relationship approach to singleship. Now, the first approach being relationship, what you're going to see is that in relationship approach, that there is going to be 5 types in the relationship approach. The first type is called free. Free. Yeah. And free floating, simply, that means they are unattached and they still date. They are unattached and they date. They are unattached and they date. These free floating ones. Free floating singles. Y'all know any free floating singles? They are unattached and they date. The next type is called the what? And this is the open. Now, open couples. And the open couples, the key here is that they have a regular partner, right? But they date others. Y'all know any of them? They have a regular partner, but they date others too. That's called open couples, right? Then you have the singles that are closed couple relationship. And these are exclusive to each other, right? Exclusive to each other. And so nobody else gets up in there. They are exclusive to each other. These singles are going to stay with each other. You mine. We go together. You bought me that root beer, you mine.
With some ice cream in it.
Amen. I got me. You didn't just give me a root beer. You got me a root beer float.
Yes, sir. That's right.
If it was just been a root beer, I might have, but once you put some ice cream in it, we go together. We go together. You got me a hamburger, well, that's fine, but you got me one with cheese and bacon on it. We go together. You got me a bacon cheeseburger. Okay? Then the other type of single is called the committed. Okay? They are committed. Now the key about them is that these folks are probably engaged, right? Because they are committed. They either committed or guess what? They building the shack. But they are committed to you. They say it's just us, and that's it. That's us. Okay? And then the final group is called the accommodationists. Now, there's something about the accommodationists here. These ones live alone, right? They live alone. They don't date. They don't date. And that can either be temporary or it can be permanent. That's the key there. They live alone and they don't date. And they can say, that's how I want it to be, and then later on they can say, okay, I'm living alone, but I might change my mind and start dating. But right now, they live alone and they don't date. That can either be a temporary situation or it can be a permanent situation. So these are what you call relationship approaches to categorizing single folk. Relationship approaches. Question about that. Thoughts about that? Y'all know anybody in those categories?
Yeah, I'm glad you said something about the accommodation. Is that I always wondered what them old ladies, old men with the 12 cats were. That accommodation is. I know what it is now, what they do. And I'm glad you said that. I'm being funny, but I mean, yeah.
But you have young folks who just date that. I got my own pad and I don't want
I don't need nobody.
Don't want nobody bothering me. This is mine, and I saw a hand somewhere. Okay. And so yes, right here.
Yeah, Bishop, I was trying to think of what they call it if a person's been together, living together for 10 years, and then they have rights to whatever they are together while they're together. Now, if they go into that relationship, I guess each one can say that's mine. But it's a name for that. It's called.
It's a common law marriage.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah. Now we talked about that a little bit before, and next week we're going to really talk about husband and wife relationships, and so we'll get more into husband wife relationships on the next lesson. Was there another hand I saw?
But I was going to say, isn't
Please use that.
Isn't it by state?
Yeah. Every state has the way in which they approach it. Yeah. The common law. Every state has a way in which they approach it. Some of them, if y'all been in there together for a month, y'all married. Some say you have to be there with an intent to and it varies. It varies. Okay, so now let's look at this next approach. Remember, these are approaches to singleness, okay? Now here are 4 types. This is called the choice circumstance approach. Now on this one, choice and circumstance kind of determines how you type them. For example, the first one is called voluntary temporary. These type of singles are never married, but they're open to marriage, but they're not seeking. You get that? That's the 3 characteristics of this type of single person. They've never been married. They're still open to getting married, but they're not looking. Yeah, I ain't looking. I'm single. I ain't looking. I'm open to it. I ain't against marriage or nothing. It's just that I ain't looking. Y'all understand that?
Yep.
So that category is known as voluntary single approach. Voluntary temporary single. Okay? All right? The next category is called voluntary permanent. This person is never married and they have no desire to get married. This person is a single person who is not married and not looking for I am not looking to be married. Not what I want. Voluntary, permanent. Okay? That's the key characteristic there. Of course, if you read, you can read a lot more, but I'm giving you the key characteristic. The third one is the involuntary temporary. The involuntary temporary. This person never married, they want to be married, and they looking. Y'all. They never been married, and they want to be married, and they looking. I'm looking for Mr. Goodbar. I'm looking for Miss Goodbar. I'm looking, you know. How many of y'all did y'all watch cartoons when y'all were young? I know y'all. Anybody know Foghorn Leghorn? Foghorn was looking for Henrietta Hen. Y'all.
Junior.
Am I the only one? Yeah. I love Foghorn. He said, I say, how you doing, Henriette? He said, I'm looking for somebody to keep me warm at night. He wanted to help some Henrietta Hen. He was seeking. He was looking. Involuntary, the last one, involuntary permanent. These never married. They want to be married, but they realize that they never will get married. Now, most of the people in this category are older women who and they're older women. There are men too, but the majority in the category are older women that they've probably been widowed and they would like to have a husband, but they realize that their situation probably they won't get another husband. And this is called involuntary permanent. They never married. They want to. Being married would be fine. But they kind of realize that that's probably not going to happen. Okay? Now, here's one thing about, before we move on, is that people can move from category to category. It's not like you're locked into, you can move from one and then go to another based upon that person. Because remember, this is choice, circumstance, category. This is choice, circumstance approach to typing. Now, another way you look at singles is by their residence. By their residence. Now, there are 3 types of residences other than living alone. 3 types of residence. The first one is living with your parents. That's that type of single. That type of single is a single. Normally, they're under the age of 25, but they can be older. They can be older, but they're normally under the age of 25. 12% of those are between 25 and 34. Okay, and they live with their parents. And sometimes it's because they're going to school. Sometimes it's because of education. Okay? Now, here's the interesting thing about this statistic. most of the ones who live at home with their parents are men. Most are men. Okay? 59% according to these numbers, and the women were at 47%. And part of the reason that he deduced, and according to the research, was that the young ladies, when they're home and growing up at home, tend to be charged with duties, with responsibilities. They have to do things. They have to work. They have to do things at the house. And at some point, they want to go out and be on their own, where they don't have to do that. So young ladies tend to have more restrictions when they're living with their mom and dad. And so the statistics seem to be lower because they are looking to go on and be on their own. But the boys seem to be more dependent on mom and dad doing stuff for them. The girls will have to do the laundry. The boys don't. The boys just turn their laundry in. Oh, y'all ain't saying that. The girls have to get in there and clean that house up and do the boys. Y'all ain't saying that. So the boys not looking to move real quick. The girls have to cook. They get in the kitchen and, they had to cut that chicken up and put some flour on it. If that boy push the lawnmower, he fine. You see? So he don't mind staying as long as he can. He still get a chance to eat his mama green. But for her, when she get the good chance, when that opportunity comes,
we out.
She so that's why the percentages seem to be that the boys, young men, are
More dependent.
they're more dependent on the domestic assistance, where the young ladies are not depending on domestic assistance, so they'll go and and establish their own place, and they're ready to move on. What are your thoughts about that? Does that?
That's kind of scary.
Yeah. Did you have something, Ms. Phyllis?
I was thinking, Bishop, when I was growing up and when I finished school and everything, my sister and my dad would say, hey, you got to go. Either you're going to college or you're going to work.
Okay.
You got to get out of here.
Okay. Right here.
So what you're saying, based on the research, is we got to give our boys more responsibility.
Don't be scared.
The more they do, the faster they leave.
I know Miss Lily Pearl made me iron. She made me iron. She made me cook. She made me wash dishes. We all took turns. We took turns in that house. I had to wash the dishes. I had to iron my clothes. Everybody had, that's right. Yep. she made us do it, and so, yeah. and so, but that's how that tendency is. That's how that tendency is, and so they're not in a hurry, you know, to go, but you know. All right. The second category is roommates, singles. Now these roommates are not necessarily people who are cohabitating. These are just singles who decided that they're getting out the house. They're gonna get them apartment together, and they're gonna live together as roommates. Sometimes it's same sex, sometimes it's mixed sex.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world.
Yeah, I can see a lot of college graduates at SpaceX. They do that. They always room together. You know, engineers. It's just a common thing.
Yeah, they room together. When I first moved Kirsten up to Texas State, and they had these 3 rooms. You know, each one of them have their own bathroom, but it's one apartment.
Yeah.
And so she was going to sublet one of those rooms in the apartment, and we went up in there and met that young lady over there, and there was a guy in that other one. And so, you know, me and Kim, we went to...
So let me holler at you for
so we had to fix that pretty quick. You know, because I mean, you know, maybe they could have been fine and everything, but I wouldn't have been. You know.
Rent to the wrong bathroom.
I mean, each one of them can lock their own door, you know, but it's one apartment. It's one. Y'all seen apartments? And there's a room over here. There's a room over here. It's a 3-bedroom apartment. It's one apartment. You know.
Yeah, right. That's what they say.
But
no sleepwalking here.
boy was nervous, knees knocking.
Him or you?
I was gonna say everything. There's something wrong with that apartment. Something wrong with you. That ain't working. This is no. This we don't need to stay here. This. There's something wrong with everything. I took my phone out and took pictures. We got to change rooms. Amen. But that's today. Today is, you know, it's like the norm. You know, I don't know if I ever got any sleep.
No. You don't sleep now.
But anyway, and she was a freshman then, you know. So she probably, you know, handle herself. She probably would have handled herself then. I mean, I don't know. I ain't trying to say she couldn't, but she was a freshman then. I just Kim said no way. And so anyway, that's where it was. And so we had to be speaking in tongues.
So when you found this out?
When did I find out?
Was they already there for a while and you found out, or this was when y'all were first moving in?
Yeah, when we were moving in, we were bringing her stuff.
So they were already there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I was taking pictures. My phone was full of pictures. I said, this is Lincoln. That ain't. Everything wrong with that. This part, this room right here, y'all. We got to change rooms. And so we were happy that when Casey got up there, we got them apartment together. So, but roommates, singles, roommates, you know, they're not cohabitating, they're not romantically involved. They're just, you know, roommates. So they say.
Just a couple.
And then the third category is the cohabitating. Yeah, that's, y'all know we've talked about that long enough, haven't we? Yeah. And then you got those, you know, as we say, live alone, ones who live alone. Now, what about single parent families? Single parent families. You know, we was talking about singlehood. There's the single parent families. This researcher, Grundlin, says that it's one of the fastest growing forms of family in the United States. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. The categories, it happens three ways that people become a single parent. And the first way is, of course, unmarried pregnancy. Unmarried women, they become pregnant. Okay? And single women give birth to 30% of the babies born in America. Single women. Okay? And so that's one of the ways that they become a single parent. Okay? Now, one of the ways they become single in this category. That the largest and the primary way that people become single parent is through divorce. That's the primary way. More than 60% of all divorced couples with children under the age of 18 are under the age of 18. Number one way. They have children under the age of 18. And when that divorce happens, one parent become a custodial parent. And so that's pretty huge, isn't it? That's a large number. And then of course being widowed, whether you're a widow or widower, if you lose your spouse and there's a child left behind, well, you become a single parent. You become a single parent. Now, even though these single parents differ in category and range in age, guess what? There is a difference in them, in the manner of what they go through. They face things differently. A widowed parent, a single parent, generally is more well off than a young single parent who had a baby and wasn't ready for life. You see, so their situations are different. But I want to talk about Christians and single parent families. And you can follow me if you want to on page 104. You can follow me because we want to ask ourselves some questions, don't we? Now, what we believe in, you know, premarital chastity, right? And we believe in staying in marriage all our lives. We believe in that. But the reality is that Christian women and Christian men, Christian women become pregnant and Christian men, we're going to go through the divorce. It's going to happen. The reality is those things happen. And anybody would deny that? Those things do happen. And so, here's some questions that singles face. And let's look at them. First one they face is, how do I parent alone? How do I do this by myself? Isn't that a legitimate question for a single Christian, let's say young woman? Let's say young woman, because the percentages are with the woman. I think many of you know that I single parented for a while, for 3 years. So men are single parents too. But it's just that the percentages favor the woman. But don't forget the man. I remember being a single parent as a man, and it angered me when I was out there and I had my little girls, and they said, "Oh, he's babysitting the girls today."
Wow.
You know, I was just sometimes glad that I was saved, and because really anger built up in me when I heard stuff like that. You know, I mean, it really angered me. And then sometimes back in those days, you go in the airport and there was either a woman's bathroom or a man's bathroom. You know, so I'm supposed to send this little girl in that bathroom by herself, but see, now they have what they call family restrooms, you know. But that wasn't always. I mean, there are a lot of things that, you know, married folks don't see when they're not, because they're not in that scenario. But those were tough. Those were tough things, you know. And so I asked, you know, can you take her in the bathroom? You know, somebody who I don't even know you. You know. I didn't like that at all.
Just to add to it,
Let me so we can hear you, Joe.
and to add to it, single parents in the military, you got to have that family care plan.
Now, I was playing a whole bunch of dodgeball. When it happened, because I didn't try not to, you know, because you know they want you to. But see, it's a whole lot stricter now than when I went through it. When I went through it, they want, hey, you got the car plan? Yeah, okay, all right, you got it. You know, but today, I mean, it's a whole. They put you out about it.
They are chaptering them because they don't have family care plan. I mean, people just don't want to just leave their kids with anybody. And they're like, well, you had plenty of time to find somebody. I'm like, it's not that simple.
What do you mean you got plenty of time?
I mean, that's just how the committee.
I know.
That's what they say. You knew you were going to deploy. You should have found somebody to keep your child. So they end up getting out.
Yeah, and, you know, activate your family care plan. You know.
Let's turn it on.
You know. Today is a whole lot stricter, and it's almost important that you do have it in today's scenario. It's important that you do have it. You know, back when I was going through it, we weren't in any particular conflicts at the time, and so they wouldn't turn into screws at the time. But it was, you know. But you're absolutely right. In the military, that family care plan. So you put down somebody that you hadn't even talked to. Y'all be telling you. Yeah, I'm gonna put my sister down. You know, so that I'll have somebody on the care plan. You know. Oh yeah, well yeah, we gotta take them to them. If you gotta go, you gotta take them. So it was a challenge. It is a challenge. Look at number 2. Is it okay and normal to feel as lonely as I do, and and how long will this last? Is it okay for a single parent mother to feel lonely?
Yeah.
Who say it's not? There's a hand.
I don't think that. But
Please.
I think there's a difference between feeling lonely and actually being alone.
Yeah. Well, being alone creates a feeling of loneliness. There are many people who can be alone and they don't feel lonely. They don't feel that way. However, there are some people who do, because they are alone. They're saying, I don't have anybody, and they have those feelings. Yes.
It's just for real, Bishop. People can be married and be lonely.
Yeah. Okay, right. Well, I hear that, but right now we're talking about the single mother. We're talking about the single mother. Because what if there's a single mother who brings this question to you? Are you all going to respond like that to her? Yeah. So this is the question for a single mother who say, is it all right that I feel lonely? And I think that it is quite normal if they have feelings like that. What we need to do is find ways to help them to negotiate that, to deal with that. Here's the third question. How do I cope with all the demands? And remember now, we're talking about a single mother. And we just spoke about a few of the demands. We're not talking about all the demands. How old is the child? Is the child a brand new baby? Is the child 3? Is the child 7? And how old is the child? The demands are different at different ages. Look at the question. How will I manage financially? If that's a single, listen to this. Sometimes you can go to work, take your child to child care, you can get paid, and guess what? The money goes to child care. Your check, child care eats your check up. Child care will eat that check up. Yeah. She's asking, and again, I'm leaning toward the woman and not to the neglect of a man. That she's asking, how am I going to manage this financially? Look at number 5. What if she got divorced and is in that situation? Is there a life after divorce? In other words, is it all right for me to date again? Can I date again? Is the church going to make me feel guilty? Oh, y'all, come on.
She sure started so fast, didn't she?
Yeah, you can be at some church and they whoop that young girl to death. They will whoop her. Is there life after divorce? Number 6. What will my family become? Look at number 7. Am I a strong enough Christian to trust God to meet my needs? Am I a strong enough Christian to trust God to meet my needs? Because sometimes the faith can they feel like their faith is being tested in this situation. 8, will I ever be accepted as a full member of my church? Y'all better tell you. No, you're gonna have her sitting over him. You know. No, you can't usher, you can't sing in the choir because you know you can't. You know what is all of that? What is that? She asked, will I always carry the label of being different? She shouldn't be classified as different in the first place. You're no different from anybody sitting in here right now. No different. And should never be made to feel that way, not in the slightest. Never. Number 9, what resources are available to me? That's a really good question. Financial, employment, and things like that. To be able to guide an individual to where they might be able to get some assistance. What are your thoughts about those 9 questions? Especially those ones that deal with the church. Are single, okay.
And they have kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like, cause me and my husband, I kind of go try to find free events to do, like for the back to school stuff. I would tell them, if you go to this little event, they'll give people bags of supplies. If you go to this person, takes work for it, they'll pay for your child's daycare, or majority of it, so that you're not paying all out of pocket. Like whatever I've gone through, the Lord has like shown to me how to like make sure that we still have money in our pocket. We're not like living under the bridge.
Yeah.
I try to give it to those who, need
Okay.
it,
Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, over here. They
got Thomas Hopper.
I work out twice a day, it's fine.
Well, you talked about being single in the church. My uncle, I can't say it's finalized yet, but he pending divorce, and he says people are already, looking at him because he's gonna be single.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already focused on his future wife.
Mm-hmm.
So he don't plan on being single when the paper is final. So he's one of them lonely, he getting on, he's lonely now, but he already knows he's not gonna step out until everything is final.
Yeah.
But he is lonely.
Yeah, and the scary thing about it is that statistically, if he does do that, he'll be a candidate for divorce again. That's statistically.
So he was a widower, and then got married, and now pending divorce.
Yeah. So that puts him up into like the 72% chance of getting divorced. On this third, that puts his percentages even higher. That this might not, especially if you don't give it 12 months.
And that's the thing. We think he went a little bit too fast because he was lonely. They were together for a long time.
Right.
And he
right.
was lonely. She died. She passed away.
And that's the really, really unfortunate thing, that because these statistics they really bear out. They really do. And people feel lonely. They feel like they need to reconnect. But what happens is they'll do it too quick, and the next situation it's not. They bring that other stuff into it. And but remember, you need 12 months in minimum, right? Y'all remember that? 12 months, that's a minimum. If you get out of a situation, give it 12 months.
That's what the
Cause I know you, I'm sorry, that's for any. If you were married and widowed, you probably need to give it more because of the sense of connection you all had. You probably even need to give it more. But yourself, you don't feel like that. You know, you kind of move on and you meet somebody, you say, yeah, you know, I really love this person. I think this is, you know, we're right for each other and everything. And you get married, and it's not going to take long for you to realize that that was not a good thing to do. It's not going to take long. 6, 8 months, maybe a year. And, statistically it doesn't work. And so,
Yeah, I love the question.